Okay, Mayor Jameson, we are live.
Thanks, Stacey. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the regular meeting of council for November 22nd. I will call this meeting to order. You have before you a copy of tonight's agenda. Looking for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Councillor Duford, seconded by Councillor Grunewagen. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 3, any declarations of interest? None being noted, we'll move on to item number 4, announcements, awards, ceremonies, and presentations. Anything from council? Nothing noted. Administration?
Nothing from administration, Your Worship.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on to administrative inquiries, item number 5, and I'll pass it over to SAO Smith. Thank you.
Thank you, Worship. Good evening, Council. We'll start off the administrative inquiries with the Director of Finance.
Thank you, Your Worship, and good evening. Just a brief update tonight. Finance Committee met last week and reviewed our Q3 capital O&M, both of which have been brought forward for tonight's agenda. Additionally, they reviewed and appointed or agreed to bring forward the recommendation for the appointment of our 2021 audit service. So we'd performed an RFP process on our year-end audit services, and that's what supported that recommendation for appointment. That concludes my updates for this evening. Beyond that, we'll be meeting with Finance Committee next week to discuss our 2022 budget, and an update will be brought to council subsequent to that. Thank you.
Sorry, guys, I was on mute. Thank you, Director. Is there any questions for a Director of Finance from council? None being noted. Back to SAO Smith.
Thanks, Your Worship. The Director of Protective Services, please.
Good evening, Your Worship. Currently for the month of November, as of today, the department has done 42 ambulance calls, 3 rescue calls, and 2 fire calls. 1 fire call was to a propane truck at Stickco, and the other was at 43 Pine Crescent in a detached garage. Updates for current initiatives. Working on the business plan for the department, should be done here shortly. Working on a fire report for 43 Pine Crescent. Inspections in all the town facilities are currently ongoing. More than half the department's buildings have been completed, and looking to complete the rest in the following weeks. Planning on prepping for various events in December, which is a busy month for the department, with events like a Firefighters ball, sleigh ride, toy drive, Christmas parade, fireworks for New Year's. So there's a lot of planning and prep going in right now. So that's a big focus. As for our equipment, we've sent out our other 10 SCBA tanks for testing. They're ready to go out, just dropping them off. The tender for the electric cot to get installed in Medic 2 closed last Friday. So we're currently reviewing the quotes that were submitted. And we'll be looking to get all of our units in for winter servicing, which will start this week. So we'll start cycling units through. We're also testing some radios on a trial basis right now. Because we can't get the ones that we normally use, we're actually looking at a few different models that are in stock, and we have a shortage with the new recruits and some radios wearing out. So we're trying out a couple radios just to see which one's the best fit for us, and then we'll be getting those ordered up. And then we also have fit testing equipment in that we're coordinating all the department members and also the town staff that use SCBA as safety equipment. So we're getting them all in for their annual fit testing. For department training, we had 5 firefighters complete night ice rescue course last weekend. And this last Thursday, we trained on class 4 written exams. So we actually were able to do it in-house for the first time with some of the infrastructure staff that are also conveniently members of our department. We were able to have a class 4 written here, so that was good. And then they also trained on walk around, so we can get some more people to get their license to be able to drive the ambulance. We also have a checkout procedure after that. Once they get the license, they still have to pass our checkout procedure in order before they can drive. And then this Thursday, we're planning to do fit testing with our firefighters, and then we'll also be reviewing winter medical operations. So that's all I have for updates.
Thank you, Director. Any questions from council? None being noted. Back to SAO Smith.
Thanks, Your Worship. We'll move next to the Director of Recreation and Community Services.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Good evening, everyone. I apologize. I'm having issues with the camera on my new laptop this evening, so it'll just be straight audio. Since our last council meeting, what most significant update to council is the reopening of the community center, which was positive following the implementation of proof of vaccination verifications. All our regular user groups have returned to play. That includes the ICE user groups, and some school and youth groups, which make use of the swimming of the aquatic center on a regular basis. The Recreation Department delivered youth and fitness programming also resumed on November 15th. That includes our after-school program, as well as the cross-sport fitness training for youth. Most of our fitness classes have already resumed, and swimming lessons started back up on November 15th also. All of that programming is scheduled to continue until shortly before the holiday season. And a little bit more on that in a little further in my report here. We've also received requests from rental groups looking to make use of the facilities. And up to this point, we've been able to accommodate the requests received. And we are working through a few other requests there going forward. We did have some issues with our ice plant last week. There was a small ammonia leak, which our staff were able to work with local contractors and Simcoe Refrigeration, which is the company out of Edmonton that supports our seasonal maintenance and the startup and shutdown of our ice plant. The repairs were made by Simcoe Refrigeration following some local cooperation and monitoring by our staff, as well as a certified refrigeration technician who was in town. And at this point, the plant is operating very well, and we have no further concerns regarding those issues. Maintenance staff started preparing outdoor rinks with some support from local watering company. Preparations have begun. We're a little late given that we hadn't received much snow in late October and early November. Snow was no longer an issue, and we do expect that in between snowfalls, we'll be making outdoor rinks a priority and have them ready as soon as we can. Those outdoor rinks, just a reminder to council, we do have 2 rinks that the town maintains. One of them is the Ray Benoit rink in the 553 area, and there's also a rink on Vail Island at the former Ball Diamond out there. We are also helping West Point First Nation start up a rink that they will maintain this year. That's through a board system that was used in town at one point, and our staff will be helping them set that up and do maintenance on their rink this winter. Planning is well underway for the holiday season. We've been receiving questions from the general public there, and our recreation programming supervisors reaching out to community groups to coordinate a calendar and promote certain holiday traditions. Some of them are driven mostly by town staff and recreation staff, whereas others are community group activities and traditions that continue. Communication will go tomorrow regarding the kickoff events, which are generally the lighting of the mayor's Christmas tree the Santa Claus Parade, Midnight Madness, and a new tradition, which is the Campground Christmas. Some communication's already gone out about the Campground Christmas, but those activities are earlier. And then we'll have a full calendar and further communication that will follow later this week or early next week regarding the other events and activities that will be going on. We will be putting out a call for applications for the Recreation Committee, calling out to the public for anybody who would be interested in submitting their candidacy to join that committee. Current committee's term ends on December 31st, and we do hope to have a new committee in place shortly after to act as in consultation to the Department of Recreation and Community Services. Excuse me. Recreation staff are also cooperating in planning other special events. There are two events that council should take note of. One of them being a cooperation with Polar Pond Hockey Committee and Leading Change organization, which is the host organization or the parent organization of the Safe Pond Hockey Initiative, which began in Finland in 2019-2020, and they now have some events planned in Canada for this year. I think I mentioned to council previously that Hay River was selected as one of the locations, and the Polar Pond Hockey Committee is taking the lead on the coordination of those activities. They do have some support from Arctic Energy Alliance employees as well as NWT Tourism, and momentum is building there, and it's good to see, and the town will definitely support that event and ensure that the facilities are available and that our staff can support as much as we can. Other similar event that's also planned for March 2022 is we have the NWT Association of Communities AGM. Myself and our programming supervisor met with two of their staff members in the community center for a walkthrough and a bit of discussion. We met last week. Discussions went very well. We do expect that we'll be able to meet all their needs, and most of the event is planned and organized by their staff. But our programming supervisor will remain in touch with them going forward to ensure that we can make the facilities available to them. NWTAC staff were also met with other local partners such as hotel operators and catering, and they're looking after all those details there. They do expect up to 140 delegates to attend the AGM, so it should be a large event, and they do expect to occupy all the hotel rooms and bed and breakfast in town. So it will be a large event for Hay River. Other long-term updates and projects that we have on the go. We submitted two funding applications, small funding applications, but important nonetheless, for winter trail maintenance initiatives. We received confirmation of $1,000 in funding for winter trail maintenance activities. We plan to use those for snow removal, to facilitate snow removal, and some brushing in some areas that are difficult to access during summer months. And we also received confirmation of $7,500 in 50-50 funding for Trans-Canada Trail winter trail maintenance. And this is specifically for the employment of student, either part-time or full-time employment. And we do expect to be cooperating with some of our local community groups with regards to this, with regards to recruitment, and seeing if there can be some synergies with some of the winter trails that we have in our area. We, again, with winter trail maintenance, we've submitted two winter cap applications. So those are the Community Accessibility Program Fund, which is from the GNWT infrastructure. And those are, again, to support some of the winter trails in the area, and a bit of a partnership with some of the local groups that maintain some of those trails. Lastly, we submitted today an application to the federal government Celebrate Canada funding, which supports celebration of major Canadian holidays such as Canada Day, National Indigenous Day, and we did submit that, and the emphasis would be on our Canada Day celebrations for 2022. Those are my updates at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Director. Any questions from council for our Director of Recreation? Councillor Dewey, go ahead.
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to, not really a question at all, just more of a thank you to the SAO and the rec director and the staff for the way that they were able to handle the shutdown at the arena with the maintenance issues that we were having there with the ice plant, and the communication that went out with our EMO coordinator liaison there, Councillor Bouchard, it was great. So thank you for keeping us all up to speed and appraised of what was going on. And then just to say, it's exciting to be having some bigger events happening again in Hay River, the NWTAC, obviously, and then the with pond hockey coming back alongside with this same pond hockey, it should be a good size event that will get people out of the house and moving around again, which is great to see happening.
Yes, March will be a busy month here. Thanks, Councillor Doing. Any other comments or questions for our Director of Recreation? Nothing noted. Back to SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. And yeah, I just want to echo Councillor Dewey's comments about the rec center staff really handled the issues in a professional, safe manner to ensure the public and employees were safe. And they put in a lot of time, including some staffing for 24 hours at one point. So thanks to them. I'll start off with a few items under the Public Works Department. First and foremost, the update on snow removal. Really got the weatherman was wrong on Friday on the 2 to 4 centimeters, seemed closer to 20 to 40 centimeters of snow. So caught us a little bit by surprise there, and of course on the Friday. So we did have crews working through on Saturday, start at 5 a.m. and work through our high priority areas and into some secondary priority areas. Did have some equipment problems with our snow blower, which is still receiving some repairs through today. So slowed us down a little bit, but we coming into Monday here, we did add some contractor crews to help try and fight through the next storm that's occurring today, which the weatherman seemed to be a bit more accurate on with the warnings. So snowfall expected to continue into tomorrow. High winds again tomorrow, so causing drifting snow. I took a drive through the main part of the town, through the arterial roads, through the new town. I'm actually pretty impressed with how they're holding up. Some of the side roads are getting going to have some problems. You get into 553 as well, a bit more snow there. Like I said, we do have working with some multiple crews tomorrow. We're probably just going to wait for the snow to come to an end, and then we get a bit of a break Tuesday afternoon. We'll go hard again Wednesday morning on the high priority areas and try to make some progress again with the additional resources, but more snow in the forecast after that. So small window. Guys are working hard to keep things running and the equipment going. Outside of snow, a few other project updates. Our town hall abatement, we hope that our contractors will be here next week. They ran into some COVID issues and getting access into the Northwest Territories, but we think they'll be here next week. We're also preparing the tender documents for the actual demolition this week, and probably see that up on as a request for tender or proposals before the end of this week. For our Vail Island Shoreline Protection Project, I gave an update previously about our application for federal funding through the Disaster Mitigation and Adaptation Fund. So our team got that completed and submitted this last Monday. So again, that's for $1.2 million, 100% dollars from the federal government to repair Alaska Road and the berm enhancements out there. Our water treatment plant feasibility study is on the agenda tonight for decision by council with the recommendation to award that feasibility study to Dillon. Riverview Drive, that project's kind of the tail end of the activities occurring as we move into winter. But we did commission the Beaver Crescent lift station last week. So our staff received training on that, on operation and maintenance, and are now responsible for that. On Riverview Drive, a few things. Cambering's supposed to start on our underground this week. We've seen some delays with that. Some residential tree removal. There's some ditch dirt removal and some valve delineators that we've been really working with our contractor to try to finish before we get too late into the winter season here. I had a meeting last week. I was up in Yellowknife for an appointment. I took the opportunity to meet with Stantec through the morning there. We talked about several projects that they're involved with. Industrial Drive, the scoping of that project, which we'll be bringing forward a change request to Finance Committee and Council in December ahead of as part of the 2022 capital budget. We also talked about capital drive design, so they are working on that already. Had a few questions that I was able to speak to, and a few things that are needed in order to get that design completed and ready for tender for next year. We talked a little bit about sundog planning, and as we look towards that project, doesn't, as it currently sits, doesn't see any type of construction for the next couple of years, but we are trying to move forward with some of the planning and design work there. We also talked about new town hall concept and study. So this is more of just an engagement with Stantec to get that work underway, and we'll work on that concept and study through the winter. Maybe I'll just pause to see if there's any public works related questions before I move on to some items under my office.
Any questions from council? Go ahead, Councillor Dowie.
Thank you, Worship. Just on waterline bleeders, I'm not sure. I know last year they weren't even shut off. I'm not sure if they were this year. No, mine wasn't officially turned off, but just might be an idea for those that have them, if they have turned them off, to turn them back on before they run into freeze up issues.
Thank you, Councillor Dowie. Any further questions for our Acting Director of Public Works? Nothing noted. Back to SEO Smith.
Thanks, Your Worship. Just a few items from my desk. It merges into Public Works and a few other areas, but I did have a meeting last week with Canor and their call for expression of interest under a couple of funds that they oversee. So we had a discussion on two project proposals. One was around a resubmission of the downtown beautification and accessibility project. We brought that project forward to the last council in 2021 as a new project and opportunity. But as it stands, that one was prioritized against the Bob McMeekin Park. We haven't received an indication on the Bob McMeekin Park, but at that time they said it would take priority over the downtown project. So we had a discussion on it. They felt like it would be a good project to resubmit. So we will work towards that. And also talked about sundog design. It's been a conversation that I've had with them previously about the potential to support really the commercial aspects that are associated with that development. So in the past, they hadn't been too interested, but this year they expressed some interest in it. So again, we'll submit an expression of interest, and hopefully we'll get a call to submitting an actual formal application to support that development, which does have, like I said, a significant commercial element to it. And Canor supports those economic development type projects. We've had a lot of projects in recent years that have been supported by them and are currently underway. Our community housing plan project continues to move along. There was 2 focus group sessions held last week. I sat in on the land development one, as did Councillor McGill. There was also a focus group that discussed affordability. So good to see participation in that. And again, it's just part of the engagement process that will continue into next year. We did submit a new submission on our new solid waste management facility funding application to ISIP. We'll wait to hear more on that. Departmental business plans, as the Director of Protective Services mentioned, he was just finishing up his. Each department's created a plan, and it's going to support our budgeting process and council orientations and just general planning for our departments. So those are completed, and we'll see those this weekend at your council orientation, which we're preparing for, myself and our council administrator in MACA. On the electrical franchise, so we did have a meeting with MACA, myself and the Director of Finance had a meeting with MACA last week to discuss options around financing for the actual asset purchase and finance agreement. We don't anticipate any problems there or any real major procedure associated with it, but we are checking in on a couple other compliance items that are expressed in the CTV Act around power franchises. Also today we submitted, the town submitted its position on the outstanding items that are set to go through arbitration in December. That would be the wrap up of what has been a long process through arbitration with NUL. We took, myself and Mayor Jameson actually had an opportunity, a casual meeting with the CEO, Sarah Brown, from the NWT Association of Communities last week. As Director of Recreation mentioned, they were in town to evaluate facilities and work towards planning for the AGM in March. But a good opportunity for us to discuss a range of topics and network with them. Really, the strongest lobbying group that we have for a municipality in the Northwest Territories. So they are actually, calls are open now for resolutions that will come forward at their AGM. That's an opportunity for us to submit, or any community to submit resolutions to ask the government for primarily the GNWT, but federal as well, for any information requests or changes to policy. So if council has anything, administration will help facilitate that exercise and get our voice heard. And also just wanted to close with notice, hopefully all councils received their invites, but we are, our social committee, our newly formed social committee has our staff Christmas party coming up December 11th. That's also when we have our long service awards for staff. So council's invited to socialize and recognize the contributions of our staff and what they've made throughout the year. That's our update.
Thank you, SAO Smith. Any questions for our SAO from council? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Bouchard.
Yeah, I know it's not directly related to the town, but I just caught the news about Stanton shutting down birthing in Yellowknife. I'm not sure how that affects our midwifery, but I'm just wondering if there's any way the town can maybe update that and find out some of those details, because I'm sure we're a backup to there. The Yellowknifes are a backup, so if that shuts us down, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe we can check into that. That is a concern.
That one, Councillor Bouchard, I am on a conference call tomorrow with the powers that be, so hopefully they can give us some answers. I had the same when I read the article. It's very disturbing, actually, that we have to send people all the way to Edmonton for a long time. Oh, we do have our public administrator. Maybe he can answer that one. Councillor Willows.
Yeah, I can't answer the part about Stanton other than to say here in Hay River, the midwife program will not be affected. It will still continue as normal. And yeah, it's unfortunate news about the rest of it, and still some details to come. I know when they issued their public statements today, there was a Q&A that was attached to it that has a lot of, I guess, answers to the questions that would normally come out. So I would direct you to that for starters. And of course, the mayor's mentioned that she's going to be on a call about that tomorrow. So I suspect we'll be hearing quite a bit more about this over the next couple of days.
Thank you, Councillor Willows. Any further questions? Councillor Dufert, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Not a question, just a comment that I had read also something, not too many details out on it, that the government of the NWT was looking at expanding their mandatory vaccination program for employees. It was originally set at November the 30th that all government employees had to be vaccinated. And now they're looking at providing an alternate that employees may have the choice of also taking negative testing. So I found that very interesting, and I just wanted to make council aware of that, because we did at our last meeting say that we would like to, look into further our decision to have mandatory vax passes at the arena, if we could have that expanded into some sort of testing. So this is just something interesting for us to be following and may help us. Thank you.
I'll respond to that one as well, Councillor Dufert. Again, I'm on, Dr. Kendall will be on the call tomorrow, so hopefully we'll have some clarity on some of these issues, and I will report back to council after if there is any clarity or if it's still really muddy. But yeah, so hopefully we'll get some answers on that. Any further comments or questions? None being noted, we'll move on to item number 6, new business. 6A, I'm going to ask our council administrator to share screen so that we can read, everybody can see the motion. So 6A is an appointment of auditor. There we go. Okay, so I am looking for a motion. Councillor Dowie, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of Town of Hay River appoints the firm of Ashton Chartered Accountants to perform the audit of the Town of Hay River for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? None being noted. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 6B, award of sidewalk snow removal tender. Looking for a motion? Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I'll move that the Council of Town of Hay River awards the tender for the 2021-2022 sidewalk, snow and ice removal to JD Contracting.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Dufert. Any questions to the motion? Go ahead, Councillor Dowie.
Thank you, Your Worship. Maybe just for clarity, the price in the background is $55 and $65 an hour. I just for clarity, I'm asking, is that a regular hours and then an off-hour price, or what's the difference there between the two?
SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. It's 2 prices for 2 types of equipment that they use.
Thank you.
Perfect,
Any
thanks.
questions? None being noted. All in favor? There we go. Thank you. Motion carries. Item number 6C, water treatment plant study, RFP award. Looking for a motion. Councillor Dufert, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that the Council of the Town of Hay River award the new water treatment plant feasibility study and preliminary design contract to Dillon Consulting in the amount not to exceed $197,599.
Thank you. Seconded by? Oh, Councillor McGill. Any questions to the motion? None being noted. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 6D, appointment of deputy mayor. Looking for a motion. Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
Yes, thank you, Worship. I'll move that the Council of Town of Hay River appoints Councillor Dowie as deputy mayor as per the council procedures by law 2420.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Chambers. Any questions to the motion? None being noted, all in favor? Motion carries, and welcome Deputy Mayor Dowie. Okay, 6E. Q3 O&M report. Looking for a motion. Councillor Willows, go ahead.
I move that the council of the town of Hay River approves the September Q3 2021 consolidated financial statement review and forecast update as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Dufert. Any questions to the motion? None being noted, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. Item 6F, Q3 capital report. Looking for a motion. Councillor Grunewagen, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll move the recommendation that the council of the town of Hay River accepts the September Q3 2021 financial results for the forecast revisions as recommended by the Finance Committee.
Thank you. Seconded by Councillor Willows. Any questions to the motion? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Bouchard.
I just had a question about going forward. I see like there's quite a few carryovers on some of this capital stuff. So does that limit us next year on how many more projects we can do next year until we complete those ones? Yeah, just some of the, are we kind of getting, everything's kind of getting pushed back? I'm just wondering how many projects we're gonna have to put off next year because of this. I imagine some of it's contracting and COVID and some of this other hassles, so.
SAO Smith, I'll pass that question over to SAO Smith.
Thanks, your worship. We certainly take a close look at what's on the project plan and in consideration of multi-year projects. But at this point, we're trying to move forward with the majority of them. Some are carryovers, some are projects that haven't started yet or fully started. In some cases, it's chasing funding. I think the first one on the list is that downtown beautification project that I mentioned earlier in my update. We haven't received funding and we are trying to resubmit for that. So, some of them are projects being managed by other groups, such as a hazardous waste management project from MACA. But yeah, no, we're trying to, obviously identified some risks. One of them is that I'm the acting public works director. So in public works, we have some gaps in our management, and that is likely to have an impact unless we're able to recruit soon towards moving the capital project along. But yeah, we are kind of, we keep an eye on the risks, and staffing is one of them. Bigger one is finding money, but we are preparing to execute them all in 2022.
Cautiously optimistic, I believe, is what he's trying to say. Thank you. Any further questions? Councillor McGill, go ahead.
Oh, thank you, Your Worship. So in that Q2 capital report, it lists the Fisherman's Wharf Pavilion as complete, but last summer it was noted that the food service building still did not have doors on the back or a covering on the back for ventilation and an awning on the front. And I was under the impression that these would be completed as part of the final design, that, as I understood the final design, but just had that question.
For clarity, SAO Smith.
Thanks, Your Worship. Yeah, there hasn't been any commitment to council, I don't believe, on completing that work. There is some, kind of ongoing maintenance work that will occur. I know the doors for the back have been, there's some barn doors towards, I think, what Councillor McGill is speaking to. I did hear about a receipt of those doors, so that work is being done. But some, some of the small kind of operational work, or might fit into some of our small capital projects, sometimes go towards that type of work. But overall, the main element of the project is complete, and obviously the building's been fully commissioned.
Thank you. Further, Councillor McGill.
Thank you, Your Worship. It was just my concern, it was expressed by some of the food service groups, was that vent at the back was letting in water, and especially for the fish and chip service with 425-degree grease. Water and grease don't really mix, so there's a health and safety issue there. And I was just wanting to see if there was a proposed plan to put a vent that would block the rain from coming in or wind, and still allow any type of vent that was necessary in those booths to be allowed.
Thank you, Councillor McGill. SAO Smith.
Thank you, Worship. Something we'll take a look at in the spring, I guess. Right now, we're obviously focusing on snow.
Fair enough. We'll commit to looking at the issue and seeing and get back to you. Any further questions? Concerns? Nothing noted. We'll move on to item number 7, bylaws. 7A, bylaw 1811-18A, amendment to our community plan, third and final reading. This is exciting. Finally, MAC has approved it. Councillor Goey, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move third and final reading of bylaw number 1811-18A, amendment to community plan.
Seconded by Councillor Bouchard. Any questions? Deputy or Councillor Bouchard, go ahead.
Just a question. So now that this is approved, what's the process to put these up on the block for sale? Do we need to make another bylaw, or what's the process? I know there's a couple people keen on this, and obviously it is the middle of winter, but I'm sure some people will be chopping at the bit to get going in the springtime.
Thank you. SAO Smith.
Sorry, Mayor Jameson, just point of order. I'm not sure, did we actually get an approval on the Q3 capital? I think we took question.
Sorry. Okay, reverse. I need a, I tell you, it's been a long day already. So on the motion for the Q3 capital report, all in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. So back to SAO Smith on when the lots will be up for sale or be available for sale, now that we have this approval.
Thanks, Your Worship. I'm not sure if I caught the full question there. I was just backtracking a bit there, but if the question was when will these properties become available, I just need to look into the status of our surveying work, but surveying and property assessments, I believe that work was already completed. I know the zoning work was. So if that's the case, we would be able to work towards bringing to council likely in December, if we can fit it into our budget discussions, the disposal bylaw for those properties. Could be as early as December, probably January would be better or more realistic.
Thank you. Go ahead, Councillor Bouchard.
And just again, maybe walk us through the process of, is it a ballot? Is it on the sale? Have we decided that, or is that a decision we need to make going forward? On which lot, who buys the lot, and does it go for tender or bidding, or what's the process?
Yeah, there is a process whenever we dispose of land. Go ahead, SAO.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. There is multiple options available in our bylaw. Typically with new land, the council has decided to go with a lottery type draw. So that will probably be our recommendation, but it will come forward to council as part of that disposal bylaw.
Thank you. Any further questions from council? None being noted. All in favor? Thank you. Motion carries. So item number 8 is an in-camera so I'm going to ask you all to turn your mics on. And I'll ask you one at a time. Do you solemnly swear and sincerely affirm that you are alone and cannot be overheard while in camera? Councillor Dewey,
Your worship, I swear.
Councillor Willows,
I swear.
Councillor Bouchard,
I swear.
Councillor Chambers,
I swear.
Councillor McGill,
I swear.
Councillor Grunewagen,
I swear.
Councillor Wall,
Swear.
Councillor Dufert.
Thank you, your worship. I swear.
Great, thanks, everyone. So not sure what time it is here. Let me look.
Need a motion to go in camera. too,
7:17.
Yeah, 7:17.
So
Okay,
move.
so looking for a motion to go in camera. Councillor Grunewagen, seconded by Councillor Bouchard. All in favor? Okay, I'll give everybody like 5-minute recess here and we'll reconvene at 7:25. How's that sound? Get a little long. See you back here at 7:25. Thanks, guys.